Ásatrú for Beginners, a modern approach to heathenry and Norse paganism. Written by Melissa Smith. Narrated by Kenneth, Montgomery. Chapter 1. The History and Mythology of Ásatrú. Heathenism and paganism have become prevalent in recent years. But what exactly do these religions and practices entail? And what do their lifestyles look like? This chapter aims to break down the definition of heathenry and paganism, and looks at the key differences between these faiths. It also focuses on the origins of Ásatrú and the mythologies that inform its practices. Heathenry and paganism, a comprehensive definition. Before we get into the history of Ásatrú and the basics of the religion, I thought it would be a good idea to clearly define heathenism and paganism. Contrary to popular belief, these terms are not interchangeable and don't share a meaning. So what does it mean to be a heathen, or practice a heathenistic religion? What does it mean to be a pagan? Well, according to dictionary.com, the word pagan is defined as a person who follows a polytheistic religion and a member of a religious or spiritual group that worships nature or the earth. In addition to this, a pagan can also be viewed as a person who does not follow the Christian, Jewish, or Muslim faith. The informal definition listed on dictionary.com is an irreligious, uncivilized, or unenlightened person. This definition is indicative of not only the way the word is used by the general public, but also the way heathenistic religions and practices are often viewed. Now these negative connotations are slowly decreasing, but they are still perceived as unusual. According to dictionary.com, the word heathen refers to a person that does not acknowledge the existence of a Christian God or the Bible. This person also does not belong to the Jewish, Christian, or Muslim faith. Interestingly enough, this definition of heathen also makes it clear that a heathen is not a pagan, thus cementing the differences between the two faiths. Dictionary.com also acknowledges the informal and somewhat derogatory definition of heathen. The informal definition of heathen is an irreligious, uncultured, or uncivilized person. The terms heathen and pagan are historical terms that were initially used by Christian, Jewish, and Muslim people when referring to others who did not belong to one of the three religious groups. The term heathen was also used in a derogatory way when referring to so-called primitive tribes that were thought to be unenlightened and barbaric. However, while the understanding of the word pagan has shifted to a more positive term that refers to people who follow spiritual lifestyles focused on the divinity of nature, the word heathen has continued to be used as an offensive term. While the word heathen remains closely tied with negative connotations, the emergence of heathenistic religions have begun to change that understanding to an increasingly neutral description of existing religious movements. So, given the similar definitions of pagan and heathen, what makes them different? Well, when used as a noun, heathen refers to a person who does not follow the Christian faith, whereas pagan expands this definition and refers to a person who does not follow an Abramist religion. Therefore, the initial difference between these terms are based on the religions they were said to reject. However, for the purpose of this book, I'll be using the term heathen instead of pagan. This is because Ásatrú is a heathenistic faith. Key characteristics of paganism and heathenry. While there exists no unified theology for heathenistic and pagan faiths, a key characteristic of these faiths is that they are generally polytheistic. What this means is that they focus on or center around a group of deities, commonly referred to as a pantheon. Often, these faiths will adopt a cosmological view of the world and view the world as being imbued with spirits. Another key characteristic of these faiths is the prevalence of rituals. Now, ritual practices will vary from faith to faith and often from group to group. However, it is commonly understood that these rituals are employed to honor the deities and spirits that the group worships. Often, the rituals will include food and drink.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?